Welcome to your course, Long-Term Athletic Development in Youth. My name is Jackie Crockford and I will be your host for today's presentation. Joining me today is our presenter, Michael Piercy. Michael.
Hey Jackie.
How you doing?
How you doing?
Good to see you.
I'm excited to be here.
Yeah, good. So you're joining us all the way from New Jersey.
Yes.
Right? And you've been ACE trainer for a number of years now, right?
Yeah.
And you primarily do athletics, training youth is one of your focuses. Tell us a little bit about that.
So I run a performance facility in Jersey called the LTAD Performance and Sports Science, and one of the things we do is we use athletic-based skill activities to help people reach their fitness goals. And one of the basic populations that we work with are our young athletes. So we want to help them set up a better foundation so that they can be successful in the long run.
Great, and we have a young athlete joining us today, right?
Yeah, Addie the Great, she's great.
Addie's here, so she's going to be going through some drills with you. Before we get into that, let's go through some information. I'm excited.
I'm excited as well. Thank you for having me. I
There you go.
appreciate it. All right. So happy to be here. Excited, like I just told Jackie, I run a performance facility in New Jersey called the LTAD Performance and Sports Science, as well as being a former athlete myself. So I have a chance to be on both ends of the table. So I have a chance to coach awesome young athletes, but I also had the opportunity to be one of these young athletes. So today is super exciting because this is one of the things that are near and dear to my heart. Long-term athletic development is one of those things that I feel like is most needed. And what I want to leave you with today is to understanding is that today is not supposed to be overall all-encompassing. Today is we want to give you some broad brushstrokes so that you get an opening, so you get your mind open to the long-term athletic development. It gives you a systematic approach to work with your young athletes, so you have a systematic process to create workouts or an understanding of what focus you should be serving. So if we think about the learning objectives that are on your slide, we want you to understand a systematic approach based on the long-term athletic development model. We want you to be able to get an idea and a grasp of a program format that can basically increase and enhance overall athleticism in your youth populations. Even if you don't have youth athletes, help create better movement opportunities for them. And we want to be able to apply the components that you will go through today that you'll see in this system to your youth fitness programs. So with no further ado, let's talk a little bit about the state of youth athletics. And when I think about youth athletics in my place, I have the opportunity to work with, vast populations. But one thing is youth athletics. And then we think about, there is a very popular thing right now with over-specialization, and that means the younger ages are starting to get more specialized to a specific sport. And for us, what we want to do is to be able to create better athletes. In our day and time, in this modern day and time, we are facing what we would like to think is an epidemic of childhood obesity. And we'll go back a little bit and touch on that a little bit in about a few seconds. But when we think about childhood obesity, and it's just research that says from the ages of 6 to 19, 33% of our population is either classified overweight or classified obese. And so for us as certified trainers and coaches, it's beholden on us to be kind of the gatekeepers and helping to improve that and create movement opportunities for people so that we can help them get better and help them move forward with our focus on becoming better athletic, not only just athletically, but creating better life of fitness for themselves. So if we look at this understanding the long-term athletic development model, as the slide pops up right in front of you, one of the things I want you guys to get a firm grasp on is to understand that youth athletes are not pros. So it's very popular right now for certified trainers and coaches or even parents with youth athletes to grab the program from their favorite athlete and to go to town and start using their child to kind of model out those programs. So for us, what we don't want to do is to be able to set them up for failure by going through these different programs. We want to have a model that you guys can follow that can give you some programming focuses that you can kind of move forward. And when we go through the different stages of development, you'll have different focuses that you can use to target your programming. We think about the long-term athletic development model. Right there in the middle, it says athletics. So everything we do is we want to develop athletics so that we can kind of angle our youth athletes towards a more skillful focus as we go through. So everything is designed, especially in those early stages, to help them become better athletically. All right, so that later on, we help them become better athletically, but now we can add complexity and more challenge to it later on. We just talked about childhood obesity. So for us in a sedentary society where everything is designed around sitting behind desk or playing video games or doing things like that, all those things are great, but at the same time, we want to be able to create movement opportunities so that we can create a more healthy society, a more healthy athlete, and be able to kind of reduce those numbers of childhood obesity. Injury prevention. One of the things to really get a grasp on, especially when we start talking about this athletic development model, is that if you are a great athlete, or take your favorite athlete, if they aren't on the field, they aren't on the court, or they're somewhere else because they're injured, that's a missed opportunity and you can't help your team. So for us, within this long-term athletic development model, we like to think that an athlete with a well-balanced program created by a certified personal trainer or coach, things like that, is better at preventing injury. So if we start thinking about that, that's one of our main focuses in recovery nowadays. With recovery is a really popular item, but when we look at youth athletics, it's super popular because of the elevation of club sports, the elevation of academies and different things, that you have kids on a constant rotation of playing a lot of different sports, and they're in their sport for a long time. Is for us trying to be able to move them out of those and give them time to recover so that they can get better athletically and to be able to take on the challenges later on down the line. And most importantly for us is we want to build a solid foundation for our youth athletes so that they see progression, and that later on they can move into latter stages. So if we think about long-term athletic development, one of the benefits is we want people to have their best performances when they get towards those elite performance stages, not when they're in the lower stages of maybe athletic formation, which is 11 to 14 or 15 to 18. We want them to be able to, achieve the goals that they want to achieve, but we want them to be able to perform better when they get to these later stages. We don't want to have premature peaking, or we don't want them to burn out early. And then the last thing we start to talk about is equipment selection. And today you can buy a lot of different pieces of equipment, and there are a lot of different things on the market. So there's a couple of targets things that we want to really talk about, and we'll talk about the second one when we get closer to strength and power development at the end. But one thing is, when you talk about equipment selection for your workouts or equipment selection for your strength program or your resistance, we want to think about what is necessary. We don't want to just use what's new. So you'll see a lot of different things on social media nowadays that you can add to programs. And right now we want to think about using what's necessary, not just what's new. So everything we throw into a program, make sure we have a focus for it and that we understand why we're using those different tools. And then lastly, we want to choose implements or tools that will target the prime movers, and those are the things that help us move into sport. And as we move to these next stages of talking about the actual stages of long-term athletic development, we'll start to get a better understanding of that. So long-term athletic development, like I said, is one of those things where we start to look at it and I start to think like it's one of the great loves that I have, kind of acquired at my place back home in Jersey. And what it does, it gives us a systematic approach to start trying to look at how we can develop athletes. And what we want to do is look at the different stages. And when I think about the different stages and how this kind of plays in, we all love superhero movies, right? And one of my favorite is Iron Man, right? So Iron Man is always great because at the end of the movie, he's always got this really cool thing. He's built up all this weapon and all these suits, but at the end, he'll use this really great weapon to kind of save the day. So if we look at the athletic development model, we can kind of look at that as building the athletic machine, right? So if we look at building this athletic machine and we're putting all the pieces together, it wouldn't be great if we got down and we realized that we used all the ammo early in the movie and now we can't save the day, or that we basically got down and then the ammo or the weapon doesn't work properly. So when we think about the stages of athletic development, I want to think of them in that way. So we take movement foundations is where we're 2 to 5 years old, right? And most of the things there is we think about, like this neuromotor system. And we think about neuro, it's that mind and body connection. And then motor is always movement. So when we think about motor skills, there's always gross and fine skills, right? So the gross skills, when we look at that, those are skills that running, jumping, catching, things like that. But in that movement foundations, there's also fine skills, and that could be picking up a piece of Cheerios for a small child as they're on the floor doing different things. So if we think about movement foundations, a lot of the things that they are learning, they will learn in pre-K and daycare and things like that. So movement foundations, what we're gonna do is we're not gonna cover that one and so forth. Today we're gonna really land on 3 stages of this development, and that will be initiation and discovery, athletic formation and exploration, and application and specialization. And we're gonna kind of land there because that's where we'll have most of our impact. And then we'll leave elite performance for, kind of later on another webinar, because that's a whole nother level to itself. But today we're really gonna center on our programming for those 3, because that's what we're most likely to see when we start doing our youth development programs, okay? So let's move into the first one. Now start talking about initiation and discovery a little bit. Initiation and discovery is where we start to really get an idea of what the movement is like, and we start to think about growth skills like running, jumping, catching, things like that. We want for this period to be very relaxed for our athletes, right? So if you're looking at that, we want this to be mostly gameplay. And if we look at gameplay in relation with free play, there is a lot of school of thought around free play, and all that stuff is great. But in our place, what we try to do is for every game, we want to have a specific focus that we can work on to kind of let people explore the different movement skills and do different things. And it always includes some of the crux of what you'll see on your slide: running, jumping, catching, throwing. And as we go through some things, and Addie and we'll do some demos, what we want to do is have you take a look at some of those things and see how we can make those things into games. But mostly in this situation and in this stage, we want to mostly have like some really good gameplay. We don't want to really have a lot of structured coaching. We want to control the situation, but we want to also have a focus and let them have fun. And when we think about my place, one of the things we love to say, and it's one of our main mantras, is that fitness is too important for it to be boring. So we want things to always be fun. We want to always have encouragement, engagement, and things like that, and have things be really fun. And so we're going to try to do a little bit of that for you today, just have fun with going through some of the drills and learning the different things. But as we go through this initiation and discovery phase, is really about gameplay and learning and discovering your body, discovering the different movements. Okay? As we move through, we want to make sure that we accomplish these different goals in that phase. We want to be able to have skill acquisition. We want to prepare them for later on working. So every stage is designed to prepare them for the next stage. So we want to prepare them for skill acquisition. We want to prepare them for balance. So we work on simple balance things that can be integrated into games: rhythm and reaction time, spatial orientation, meaning navigating their environment in reference to their body position, basic hand-eye coordination, catching, different things like that, skill enhancement, and then we'll move to advanced balance exercises as we get towards the end of this phase. Next phase is where you'll see Addie is, one of our great athletes, and she's going to come out. She's part of this phase. It's athletic formation exploration. We look at athletic formation exploration. It's just we're starting to add intensity and complexity from the last phase, and we'll start to clean up anything that we didn't see at that phase. But we start to kind of dial it up a little bit, and we start to be more integrated in the coaching aspect here. So you see advanced hand-eye coordination. We start to coordinate the limbs, and you start to think about running technique and different things in this sort of stage. Spatial orientation, once again, and then analyzing and reacting to the environment becomes important, because we're starting to move into a phase where we're starting to navigate our different sports and things like that in advanced hand-eye coordination. And now, if I looked at, and I said the weapon from earlier, right? So when we think about application and specialization, when we move to application and specialization, if we look at those first three phases, what we're doing there is we're getting our weapon prepared, and then we're going to basically target and focus that weapon towards the main target, which is we're going to find that sport that we want to do. So that's the specialization phase. This is where we start to roll out the first elements of really specializing and moving into training for one sport, or aiming what we're doing towards that one sport that we might have an affinity towards, enjoy. And so we think about skill perfection. We think about complex spatial orientation, balance and control, body awareness. All this stuff is on your slide. And analysis, reorientation, and that reactivity improvement thing. So we'll see some reactivity drills as we start to roll out. And so what we're going to do from here is we move into one of the most important aspects that I like to talk about from this whole model. And I think that coaching is the most important one. It's the one that's most near and dear to my heart. I like to think about coaching and what you do with athletes, the effect that they have. I had great coaches growing up, and I think that had an effect on me doing better things, not just athletically, but being, just becoming a better human being. So for us, it's a great responsibility that basically is thrust upon us, and it's something that I think is a calling. But it's one great quote that is a John Wooden quote that always I think about when I think about coaching, and it says a good coach can change a game, a great coach can change a life. So what we want to do here is really focus on some of the hard and soft skills of coaching. So if we look at, just some of the soft skills, and this is a teaching method that we've acquired at my place, and we think about three-part teaching method. It's demonstrate. So when Addie comes out for the demos, one of the things we always want to do is demonstrate the exercise for them. So if we can demonstrate it so that they get an understanding of what it looks like to do it, not only that, but explain the drill. Okay, give them a good, thorough explanation. But we also, at the end of that three-part, is discussion. So why is there discussion? Because what we want to do is be able to have a two-way conversation and have them take responsibility for their athletic goals. But also, as you start to move up in levels of elite performance, adjustment becomes super important. And them, for the most part, youth athletes being able to make these adjustments themselves. The difference between in a lot of ways, the elite athlete compared to the athlete that's not elite is being able to make adjustments, not just week to week, not just game to game, but in game, in the space of the moment, being able to make adjustment. So we want to be able to have a two-way discussion so they understand what they're learning, what they're doing, what they could be doing better, and that creates a great atmosphere for them. And when we start to talk about that education quotient, we move into coaching philosophy, which is the educate portion. So we want, for our youth athletes when they come in, and it's a big mantra that people use now, is we want to be teaching skills, not just teaching drills. So if we have a drill, we want to have a focus for something, but we want to be able to educate our young athletes so they know exactly how they're doing the drill, how they could be doing it better, and the different things that they need to improve on. And at the same time, with that comes encouragement. We want to create a great environment so that they feel safe to be great at what they do or improve their weaknesses, fortify their strengths and do different things, but we want to encourage and then we want to empower them to be able to do those things. And that kind of wires into our whole goal setting philosophy about understanding what it is they want to do and trying to be able to layer those things into the training and be able to use those things as fuel to help motivate them to the next level. And then lastly, there we want to think about Twitter coaching. And Twitter coaching doesn't mean going on social media and Twitter and things like that. For us, when we think about Twitter, I started talking about this a while ago. And I think back when I first started saying this, Twitter, I think was like 140 characters. It's probably a little bit more now, maybe 180. But we want to say whatever we have to say in 140 characters or less so they get a chance to process the information, be able to do the activity, but be able to grasp some of the concepts of what we're trying to teach. Because if you're a fitness professional and you've been teaching coaching for a long time, you realize that the more tools you usually give a person, the more usually goes wrong. So we try to give them really finite cues that they can use and to really be short with it. Okay. So if we think about youth athlete program design, and it's the reason most people showed up today, is you want to understand how to create programs for these young athletes. The first stop on this whole journey is always assessment, right? And we think about assessments, even if you go through your basic certification, your CPT with ACE, or you go through any type of athletic training, it's always assessment, assessment, assessment. It's the reason why we all show up to watch the NFL combines every year. And in your slide, if you look at your slide, you'll see a lot of different tests there. You see push-up tests, pull-up, bent arm hanging tests, plank tests, standing long jump tests, and it goes on a little bit. And a lot of these tests are great, and these are tests that you should include in your test battery as they start to move through later phases. The first two phases that we'll talk about today is you're not going to get a lot of really good information from these tests on that. It doesn't mean that you shouldn't put them through the test, but when they're going through the test, it's really getting a chance to learn the different assessment things. So as we go through the warm-up, we use the warm-up for more of an assessment to quantify, see the quality of movement as they start to move through different things. So today, you won't really see a lot about assessment. We'll talk about assessment notes. The things that you need to know as you go through the initiation phase and you're going through the athletic formation phase is to keep an eye out for training age versus biological and anatomical ages. So training age and biological age are a better indicator of where your young athlete is as opposed to the anatomical age. And when we think about training age is how much time and experience do they have within the whole development model, okay? And when we think about biological, and once again, that could be something that is a complete other webinar in itself, but we start thinking about puberty, post-puberty, pre-puberty, things like that, and how you would adjust training for those different phases there. Training history, how much experience do they have just training in general, all right? And then that's gonna help you get an eye, especially when you start to move later on into the phases of the strength and resistance program, different things like that. But understanding what their training experience is, their training history, is a really good indicator of what you're gonna be able to do from a challenge perspective. And then we think about initiation, what are our goals? When we think about initiation, we really wanna teach them basic movement patterns, okay? And even though it's gameplay, we want that gameplay to include basic movement patterns. Formation stage of where we are, we want them to be able to develop and improve because develop and improve the tasks and foundations of exercise, because what we're doing is we're trying to move them into future strength training and power training. And that's where that kind of starts. It's really the first stop where you start to really talk about building good core strength and stability and giving them the elements of thinking about strength training at that point. And then specialization at the end, like I said, we're taking that athletic machine, and we're directing it toward a sports-specific program at that time. So sports-specific program development for us, we're starting that specialization phase right there. Okay, so our variables of athleticism. And this is what we're gonna cover today. And we think about stability, mobility, and flexibility. We're gonna do some of our warm-up and movement prep stuff. Speed training. we're going to move through speed training. So the thing is, speed training is usually lumped in with agility and quickness. The reason why we pull that out today is because when we think about speed training, there's also youth athletes that don't participate in sports like soccer and basketball, football, volleyball, things like that. There's your track and field athletes, so there's straight line, linear athletes that are just basically run. So we look at speed training and pull that out because we think about the acceleration and deceleration portion of it. We want to just talk about some drills and different things, some demos that we can do to focus on acceleration and deceleration in a straight line. Okay, agility and quickness, we'll come back for that and we'll talk about that. That's probably one of the most fun aspects because that's when you see a lot of the cool and more complex drills that you'll see, and me and Addie will have some fun with that. And then the strength and power section, when we look at down the end, talking about how to create resistance programs or some of the guidelines that we can have as we start to look through those resistance programs. Okay, so movement prep, all right. As we think about movement prep, in our dynamic warm-up, we always want to have a combination of, dynamic exercises mixed with stretch, static stretch exercises in a mixture, because what we're trying to do there is we're trying to take the tissue temperature and we're trying to raise that. We're trying to take the body and take it from rest to active work, all right? So in addition to that, we want to target and help athletes, work on their flexibility and work on their mobility at the same time. So at this point, I'm going to call Addie out, and we are going to get ready to go through some basic dynamic warm-up exercises to get started. So the first thing I'm going to have her do is the toughest exercise to cue in the history of fitness, and it is going to be a jumping jack. Okay, and she's just going to give me a bunch of jumping jacks, and I'm just going to talk about what she's doing, and we're going to roll kind of, expeditiously through different exercises. Here we go. Ready, set, good word, expeditiously, right? All right, so she's just going to start with a basic jumping jack, and everybody's favorite, she's starting to move a little bit, and what we're going to do is start to move her through some different exercises, but then later on, we're going to show you how we can kind of modify this for gameplay. All right, so Addie, you're going to stop with the jumping jacks because you look like you're really warmed up on that, and you're just going to give me a basic jog right there. So we're just going to get a nice basic jog. There he is. Nice and easy. And then what you're doing as you start to go through this warm-up with them, like I said, the assessment, if we take them through, if you go through initiation or athletic formation, you're not going to get a lot from those basic tests with that. Here, you're going to start to see how they move and how the limbs are coordinated, how they do different things, okay? And she's like, oh, man, I'm jogging. All right, here we go. So we're going to take it back, and we are going to go through high knees. So we're going to take it high knees down and back, all right? So it's just going to be high knees, drive the arms, ready, set, and go. Boom. Nice, and she's going to turn around and come back. And so I'm observing there from an assessment portion of, how is she moving? How are her arms moving? How is her posture? What are the different things? And at the same time, getting her body ready to do some more movements. Okay, nice. So we're going to take it back, and we're just going to do a basic butt kick. So she's like, you're killing me. All right, she's going to have a great session today. Butt kicks ready, set, go. Nice. Okay, and essentially same thing. We're addressing the movement. All right, and as we go through this, the next thing I want to do is to kind of take her through multi-planar movement, because every one of our workouts, so she's done butt kicks, she did high knees. What I'm going to have her do is a basic shuffle across. So she's going to just do a basic side shuffle. All right, boom, and it's a basic side shuffle. So we're going from what would be, a linear exercise to lateral, but multi-planar would be thinking about, that sagittal plane and that frontal plane. All right, and then lastly, she's going to go through a little bit of karaoke action. Just so we get a little rotation movement in there, because we're going to be warming those hips up to do some hip swivels. We're going to be doing some crossovers. We're going to be living the life, okay? Nice. Take it back. Boom, boom, boom. Nice, and stop right there. So, and normally this would come a little bit at the beginning, but I'm going to have her just walk through and give a nice little knee hug, just so we start to pull some of those in and watch the posture there. Try to pull it into your chest, roll those shoulders back. Nice. And I can hear her breathing already. Yes, we ready to rock and roll. She's like, no good, Mike, no good. Okay, all right. So next we want to think about just some coordination development. If you look on your slide, you're going to see a bunch of different wording there. You're going to see balance, kinesthetic differentiation, spatial awareness, rhythm, reactivity. And when we think about those things, those are the elements of coordination development. So the first thing we're going to do here is we're going to have Addie just bring her hands over her head. And then this is how we're going to find our athletic position. She's going to come down and go break down. All right? Break down. Boom. Nice. I love that. Look at that. That was intense. Ready? Break down. Boom. Nice. We're going to go one more just because it looks so nice. Break down. Woo, all right, good. Now we're gonna go to a quick feet. Here we go, ready, set, quick feet. See, she already went ahead. She got the breakdown with the quick feet, good. All right, now I had to go quick feet for a reason because what I'm gonna do is have her go quick feet to balance. All right, so let's go quick feet, balance on one foot, boom. Quick feet, balance on the other, boom. Quick feet, balance on the other, quick feet, balance on the other. Nice, take a rest, take a quick rest. Okay, so balance is, don't walk off yet. Stay with me, don't leave me by myself. These people wanna hurt me, all right? So balance is important because what it does is it's forcing you within the realms of sport, right? Sport is organized chaos. It's forcing you to balance when dynamic movement is going on. So that's why we add a little quick feet so that she has a little dynamic motion, but it's forcing her to balance. Now, kinesthetic differentiation would be something that you would see on your everyday Sunday when you listen to your announcer say, oh, this quarterback's got touch, where you have a quarterback that can throw through a tire and it's just throwing to a certain space or a target toss. Today, since I don't trust Addie to throw stuff around here, no, I'm just joking. I am going to have her do a target jump, okay? And what that's gonna be is she is just gonna start from there. She's gonna jump to this cone and touch it. And that's really when we start thinking of kinesthetic differentiation, that's what we're thinking of. Ready, set, go. Boom, she's been waiting all day to do that. She's like, I've been waiting all day for this one. Here we go, ready, and go. Boom, give me one more just because it looks so great. And boom, nice, okay, perfect. If it was a bunch of people here, they would clap. All right, so next, spatial awareness. So we think about spatial awareness, it is the ability to navigate different things in your environment. So in formation, one of the things we would do is a tag game. And I'll still do this with adults and different people, but it's a basic tag game that if me and Addie were in athletic position, and what I'm gonna do is I am going to try to tag the inside, outside of her knees. She's gonna try to get away and tag me and try to win this game. All right, here we go. Ready, set, and go. Boom, boom. Oh, killing you already. Oh, wow, wow. Oh, boom, boom. Uh-oh, I hear you breathing. Boom. All right, and stop. Okay, so perfect. When we think about the tag game, take a little rest, but don't walk off. All right, the tag game is basically navigating space, but it's basic, drills back and forth. So one of the things we want to call out on that is we think about competitiveness, especially in the initiation phase. We want to have some light competitiveness, but we want to de-emphasize winning, especially as coaches. We don't want kids to feel like, hey, I have to win, or that, they're not great because they didn't win. We want to have them come in and develop competitiveness naturally, but at the same time, be able to complete the drill and get a little bit better athletically. So let's think about rhythm. And it's one of the things I coach on a regular basis when we think about rhythm is every athlete, you can perform a drill better if you find a rhythm for it. But one of the things is just find a rhythm for anything. So for her, right now what she's gonna do is we're gonna do just a basic clap drill, all right? See, look, she starts smiling, that's her favorite already. All right, so I'm just going to clap in a pattern, and you're gonna copy that pattern. All right, so it's gonna be nice, 4 claps. I did 3. Yeah, all right, go 1. Boom, okay? So rhythm, basically she's just mimicking the pattern. And then when we go to that other one, we think about kind of that mirroring, the mirror drills, and we'll move right into reactivity. All right, and reactivity for this one, we're gonna do what we call a mirror drill. All right, and she's just gonna mimic whatever she sees me do and react to that movement by doing the same exact thing. Okay, so let's go to your favorite, which will be jumping jacks, skates, back pedals. Oh, there we go. Look at that. Skates. I messed you up completely with that one. Back to the jumping jacks. Jumps. Squats. Boom, boom, and stop. Okay, nice. Okay, so if we think about that, and that is a great job, Miss. I am gonna let you rest for a second on that one before I have you come back for the second half of that. But we think about the reactivity is she is just trying to mimic the activities that I'm doing and react to them at the same time. At the same time, what I want you to get, and I'm gonna call Addie back in a second after she has a chance to rest, is I want you to get an idea of how you would do that for your initiation phases so that you would turn it into a little bit of gameplay. So I'm gonna have you come back, because you got a little swig of water, just a little slight swig. And what we're gonna do is you're just gonna follow my commands, because I'm too tired to do anything else. So you're just gonna follow my commands. So you just go jog, nice light jog. Boom, boom, boom. Fall down on the floor. Boom, without raising my insurance premium. Bring it back up. Good, go quick feet. Balance on the one foot. Jump to the other. Jump to the other one. Good. Jump up and down. Boom, 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 boom. Go high knees. Fall down on the floor. Back up top, stand up. Good, nice job. See, if it was people here, they would clap for you. There's someone clapping, good job, take a rest, because I'm gonna need you for more stuff. Thank you so much for that. All right, so if you look at that, just a basic way that you could give different instructions in the initiation phase and turn it into sort of gameplay. And that's really what you want. You want in that initiation phase, but also in the athletic formation phase, is they're learning and discovering different movements within their own body, learning how to become more athletic, and then we'll take those and build them into a better athletic machine as we start to move them. We're trying to prepare them for each stage of development. Okay, so speed. One of my, also, I think they're all my favorites, but when you think about speed, right? Speed is one of the most important cornerstones in sport, right? They call it the great equalizer. And when we think about speed, it's high velocity movement over a distance, right? So if we look at speed, speed can change a game. If you have a fast receiver, your downfield game is great. If you have, a guy who's fast with a basketball, if you watch a guy like Russell Westbrook, you watch the difference that a whole bunch of speed can make in basketball and a different sport like that. So speed's super important. When we think about developing speed for us in the initiation phases of just like those early phases of 6 to 10, what we don't want to do is we don't want to coach a lot of technique. We want to give them ways that they can discover speed, but later on come back to add some coordination things and do some different things in that respect. So if we look at the keys to speed, we got some major elements. So we talk about stride length, and we talk about propulsion, and we talk about stride frequency. Stride length is what? The length of the stride. Obviously, we don't want to have kids bounding all over the place, but we also want to have an idea of there's a sweet spot in stride length to where they can be optimal and perform well with it. Propulsion is just that ground force. Because obviously later on we start to think about the different phases in sprinting, it becomes important, but we really want to understand that these are the three major elements, and then you get the stride frequency. That is the rate that you can pick them up and put them down. All right, so those are the three important pieces. We think about elements of speed, there's always reaction time when we think about within a sport, right? Reaction time, because how fast does it take for you to react to a different stimulus in the environment? And then speed of running in different directions when we start to move into agility in a second is how fast can you change directions based on the stimuli that you are affected by within your environment. And those are things that we want to learn in those phases before we get into a lot of specialization for different sports. Okay, so if we look at speed training within initiation, and on your slide, it'll have basically some really, not stringent guidelines, but have an understanding for the different things that you can add in there. Initiation be games and relay races, and we'll have Addie come out in a second, and she's gonna go through some basics of, kind of shuttle drills. And then when you move into athletic formation, that is our first kind of intro to working on technique towards the end. So we still wanna have some gameplay and relays, but we still wanna start at that point. We're starting to get them ready to move into some complexity, starting to get them ready to start thinking about really technique-based speed training, and then starting to think about turns, change of direction, stop and go type stuff. Specialization, once again, we're taking that whole athletic machine that we're building, and we're targeting that towards sport-specific skill performance and skill perfection, all right, and technique-specific work. All right, so if that makes any sense, I'm gonna call Addie the Great back out, all right, for our next demo. And when we start here, what we're gonna do is we are going to start with a shuttle variation, okay? And this would be something that can work in both phases. So it would be something that will work in our initiation phase, but also in athletic formation for us to work on speed and technique. So for the shuttle drill, only thing she is going to do is she is going to sprint and touch this cone, and then she's going to sprint and touch this cone. All right, so it's just gonna be down and back for the first time. All right, so it's gonna be ready, set, and go. Boom, touch, rest. Nice, she was already ready to come back. See, people saw that. She was ready to come right back. All right, this time we're gonna go down and back twice. All right, ready, set, and go. Touch, 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 and rest. Nice job, okay? So like I said, if people were here, they would clap for you, I'm telling you. All right, and then the next, what we're gonna do is she's going to go to a shuttle and back pedal, because backpedaling is super important, and if you could, one of the things that you could add into your dynamic warm-up is definitely backpedaling, because it's an underrated skill that you definitely need in sport to actually improve your athletic activity. So what we're gonna do here is I am going to just make sure that you don't go through the wall when you backpedal. So here we go, we're gonna sprint, shuffle, boom, come back, nice, and backpedal. Excellent job. Nice. So you can take a quick rest. Don't come off of there yet. All right, and those are just shuttle variations that you could use if you were in an initiation phase and you could turn it into a game. We think about gameplay. That would be something that you could throw a ball off a wall at a target, pick up a ball, sprint back, different things like that that you could create and make into a game to kind of improve movement or get discovery of movement. All right, so next we're gonna run into just some basic drills that might work a little bit on technique, and she's going to go to a standing arm drive. We're just going to work on arm action. So she's just going to stand there and go through an arm drive, and she's driving the elbow back, rotating from the shoulders, keeping the shoulders back, nice posture. Excellent. I like it. I could dig it. Okay. And then she is going to go to this start line, and she's going to give me standing starts, which means she's going to start from just a basic standing position and sprint. Okay. Ready, set. She's like, I don't want to run into you. I'm going to get on this side. All right, ready, set, and go. Boom, nice. Okay, so the element that might not be readily seen there is deceleration. We think about acceleration and deceleration. A lot of times when you think about training, we're thinking about acceleration, and that becomes, like the predominant thing we're thinking about. But deceleration is super important that we teach that, and we teach it well, because when we think about deceleration, one thing is, what precedes a change of direction is deceleration. So it's always deceleration and then explosively moving back into another direction. So it's beholden on us to teach deceleration. So if we look at just her standing sprint and you look at that shuttle, she's forced to decelerate, and you'll see on some of the ladder drills when we get to the end, not ladder, but some of the later drills that we'll do, we talk about dropping, catching, and things like that. She'll be using a lot of deceleration techniques. All right, and then the next one's going to be a falling start. All right. So she's just going to fall forward, and then before she hits the floor from a parallel position, she's going to bring that foot out and explode through it. Ready, set, and go. Boom. Love it. Nice. Bring it back one more just because it looks so nice. All right, here we go. She's got the big smile on her face. Ready, set, and go. Yeah, baby. There we go. I like it. Okay, so we bring it back. Okay, nice. Take a quick rest, and we are going to grab one of our implements that's probably hanging around in your basement or anywhere it is. You probably have a tennis ball. And the tennis ball can be a super powerful tool for working on not only acceleration, but working on deceleration. All right, so what we're going to do first is going to be called a ball drop and catch. All right, and Addie is going to start on that side. All right, she's going to get in her ready position. All right, so she's ready to go. I'm going to drop the tennis ball, and her job is to catch the tennis ball before the second bounce. All right, we ready, set, and she's not gonna go until this ball drops. Boom, look at that. Almost like I coached her, almost like that. All right, we're gonna go a second one, ready, set, go. Boom, love it. Okay, all right, and then what she's gonna do now, we're gonna make it a little bit sexier than the other one. She's gonna turn around and face the wall. All right? So she's going to listen to my go, and then she's going to turn and catch this ball. All right, ready, set, go. Boom. Look at it. She's so fast, she was already there. All right? Second one's on the way. Ready, set, go. Boom. Nice. Okay? So if you watch the elements of her accelerating, and obviously we have a short studio here, so it's much different, but if she was in a bigger place on the turf, what she would do is accelerate through the ball, okay, and then the slowdown would happen afterward. All right, next one is gonna be a favorite. We're gonna go supine, drop, and catch. So you're gonna lay it down, all right, and then your job is to scramble up and to catch this ball. Here we go, ready, set, go. Boom, nice, one more, just because people are like clapping at home. They love it. Here we go. Ready, set, go. Boom, up. There we go. There we go. Totally good. Totally good job. Take a rest. Excellent. That ball didn't drop more than once. Okay, so excellent job. So those are just some things, and you can always turn those into gameplay. And like we talked about the shuttles at the beginning, those different things apply in there. So next, moving into agility and quickness. Agility and quickness is one of every coach's favorite. It's the most fun for kids as well, and it's easy to make games on. Agility is super important, especially if you're looking at, I think about sport and I think about it being organized confusion, and you're never really in the perfect form for anything. What you want to do is have really good body position and teach kids to be able to change directions in a great way and be able to do it fluidly and smoothly and in motion. So when we think about our methods of teaching, I'm going to bring Addie back out. And when we think about the methods of teaching, we use a part whole method. So, and then we'll talk about closed and open as we go through. But one of the things we want to do is we're going to take the hurdles and we're going to build a skill using this whole method of teaching. All right. So she's going to start with just 3 hurdles, even though I brought out 4. All right. I'm going to get rid of 1 just because I like you so much. All right. And she's going to start with a basic, turn these around this way, and she's going to start with basic 3 hurdles this side, and she's going to stop. So she's going to go to her right, and she's going to stop on this side. Okay? Ready, set, and go. Nice, nice, stop. Good. Walk around to the other side. She's going to go twice. All right? Ready, set, go. Boom, boom, boom. Nice. Good. We're going to walk around to the other side because it looks so nice. We're going to come this side and go back to the left. There it is. I confused you. It was solely me. It wasn't you. Don't worry about it. All right, here we go. Ready, set, go. Boom, 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 rest. Walk it back around to this side. Okay, here we go. Ready, set, go. Boom, boom, boom. Nice. I knocked that one down. You didn't. Okay, good. So now we take that one skill. We're going to apply it continuously. So she's going to go one side and back because we're going to need that. All right, so here we go. Ready, set, to the right, go. Boom, 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 right back. And stop. Perfect. If it was people here, they would clap for you. I swear they would. I'm telling you. Okay? So nice. The next skill we're going to layer with it is that ball catch that we just did. Okay? That tennis ball catch. So she's going to move back a couple steps. Just move back a couple steps. And then I am going to drop. You're going to catch and then catch it. Then flip it to me. Don't hit it. Ready, set, go. Boom. Woo! Yes. I love it. Here we go. Ready, set, go. They probably cannot see me on camera, but it's all good. Okay, so that's fine. So we got that skill. So we saw the hurdle, and then we saw the ball catch. Now we're gonna put them together in that whole method. Okay, so what she's going to do is come over to the right, hurdle, and she's gonna catch, and then she's gonna catch a ball on that side. We're gonna try to go twice, and then we're gonna stop, because that's my girl. All right, ready, set, and go. Boom, boom, boom. Yeah. Boom. Yeah, come on. Boom, yeah. Uh-oh. Boom, yeah. Nice, rest. If they were here, they would clap for you. Give her a round, good. All right, and excellent. Nice job, excellent job. And so when we think about that, from that part whole method is just breaking down skills so that we can take and make things a little bit more complex. And then when we start to make them complex, it might be tough if we try to do everything in one shot and just show a one motion. And obviously, that might be overwhelming. So what we want to do is not have that be overwhelming. We want to teach different pieces so that later on, she can kind of come back and build those skills up and then also see skill improvement. And before we move on, I'm going to have Addie come back out one more time. So we're going to create a game out of that one super quickly and how we could create a game out of this one. So for our initiation phase. All right, so if she was here, we're just gonna pretend we're jumping over somebody's small gate, and then you're gonna listen for my cue, and then you're gonna sprint that way. So ready, set, and go. Jump over the gate, Addie. All right, somebody's coming. Yeah, see, there it is. It's basic getaway tactics, so it's all good. So that's it. We don't know whose gates those were, but it's all right. Don't worry about it. Definitely didn't get in trouble. All right, good job, nice. Okay, so see, roll my cones. Okay. So once I find my clicker again, which I have, we're good to go. Okay, so if we think about the agility and quickness model,
initiation, and we just showed you a basis of what could be a game for the initiation model. We want them to learn basic skills. So if you go back to that first slide that we talked about, the basic skills are running, jumping, catching, rolling, and doing different things. And that can be powerful because now that creates the discovery of movement. We move into athletic formation, which would be agility skill acquisition. And you just saw that from that part whole method. We broke down a skill, and then essentially she was able to perform it, and we added a basis amount of complexity to it. And then specialization. Once again, I'll keep saying this over and over again, but we're going to take this athletic weapon and machine and kind of target it towards sport-specific activity. But in that stage, we're going to improve the proficiency and improve the agility of the exercises. And then in the elite performance stage, what we're going to do is we're going to look at, adding more complexity, more intensity, but taking it to another level by trying to add high-quality agility and quickness techniques. Nice. So if we think about quickness keys, some of the things that you want to pay attention to as she goes through, or if you have an athlete do agility drills, ladder drills, or whatever it is, foot contact, okay? How are the feet being contact? Are they on the balls of their feet? Because that's where we want to be. We don't want to have a lot of, lead feet hitting hills and things like that. Staying on the balls of their feet, staying really light-footed. If we think about the sound, we want to be able to, I usually say, be ninja soft, but smooth as fast, fast as smooth. We think about the height of the feet. We don't want, really high feet, but when you think about the initiation phase, you might see stuff that's all over the place within gameplay. As we start to move into athletic formation and stuff like that, we start to clean that up a little bit. So we don't want the height of the feet to be too high. And then body control and mechanics, and you watch that sort of breakdown to get into athletic position, and she did that so, crisp and clean, extremely well. Body control and mechanics as you move through the drills, and she does an excellent job of it, great demo. And then power of push-off. When you think about moving into different directions, that's what the agility is, changing in different directions, moving, that motion from, one direction to another. Explosive push-off to the next direction is something that we want to teach. Okay, so if we look at agility demos, I am going to call my awesomeness back out, Addie Awesomeness, and we are just going to do a shuffle drill. And she's done, some variations of this, but this is just going to be a basic side-to-side drill. If we think about going back to that slide previously, something we talked about closed drills and open drills. This is something we would consider a closed drill, which means we know the result of what it's going to be at the end. She has a pattern, she's going to follow that pattern, and we know how that's going to end. So shuffle drill is she's just going to go basically across. You're going to touch one cone, boom. Ready, set, go. She's like, I've done this. Yes, there it is, boom. Nice. Or floor, we'll take the floor. I'll take it. Okay, I'll take that too. I like it. I can dig it. All right, good, stop, because I just don't want to tire you out before we do the next one. So if we think about that shuffle drill, she's done, some variations of that as we move through everything. Next, we're gonna start to look at hip swivel drill, because as she starts to change direction, we want body control. We talked about body control, and it's how we do those changes, because we're gonna work up to some cone reaction and stuff like that, and we want that to look crisp and clean. So she's gonna start in the middle, all right, and it's just gonna be hip swivel. So you're gonna start with quick feet. I'm gonna tell you to swivel to one side, you go that side, and you come right back, okay? Ready, set, quick feet, swivel, come back, woo, swivel, come back, swivel, boom, swivel, swivel, nice, okay, all right, so I'm not killing her, we're gonna go to the next drill. It's gonna be a swivel and freeze, all right, swivel and freeze. All right, and then you're gonna listen for me to tell you when to come back. Ready, set, swivel, freeze, good. No, come back, you had already done it, good. Swivel, come back, my girl. Swivel, come back. Swivel, come back. Swivel, come back, nice, good. Nice job, okay? And then last one is going to be a swivel crossover, okay? Where she's gonna turn, swivel, come back. Crossover, come back, all right? Ready, set, quick feet, crossover, boom, come back. Crossover, come back. Crossover, come back. Crossover, come back. Excellent job, nice, I like it. Okay, so what we're gonna do from the hip swivel, right, is we're gonna transfer that into this cone reaction drill, all right? And what that's gonna be is I'm gonna give her a closed drill, which is I'm gonna tell her 1, 2, 3, 4. We're gonna move that into a reaction, which would be an open drill. I'm gonna point to what cone she's supposed to go to, and then she's gonna go. So that will give you an example of an open drill. All right, so if you are ready, now when you go, I want you to do your crossover when you go towards that cone, all right? All right, ready, set, you got 1, 2, 3, 4, go in sequence. Ready, set, go. 1, good, back there, 2, good, You're gonna go 3, crossover, go. Yeah, there we go, coming back and then 4. Nice, my girl. Can't get better than that. Love it, there we go. All right, stay up, don't go nowhere. I got money on you, okay? All right, so you're gonna go back to quick feet, all right? And then what we're gonna do is I'm gonna give you a cone, you're gonna go to a cone, all right? Ready, set, quick feet. We're gonna go 4, boom. My girl, come on back, boom. We're gonna go 1, yeah. There we go, boom. We'll go 3, good, and then we'll go 2. Love it, and then rest. All right, perfect. All right, so if you look at that, that would be more of a cone reaction where that would be an open drill because she's reacting to the stimulus of me giving her different places to go within the drill. So something you can work on definitely. You can make a game within your initiation phase, but when we think about formation, what we want to do is to be able to create really good body movement so that when they're trying to go to cones, that it mimics the movement that they would use within space in the sport. Okay, and then last one is going to be one of our favorites. All right, it's going to be a partner drill that we call Don't Break the Chain. All right, and what she's going to do is we're going to pretend we got a chain around both of our waists, right? And we don't want to break it, so she's going to move with my movement. So if I start to shuffle, she's going to shuffle with me. If I start to go here, if I move back, she's going to move back. We're going to go here, we move up, shuffle, shuffle, shuffle. Back. Woo, I saw that. Back. Good, and stop. Good job. Excellent job. And she gets the rest because she did that. Excellent, made me look good. Okay, so if we look at that, that's obviously you can see that can be used in gameplay, but it's going to be, it helps you work on basic reactionary techniques with every athlete on every phase. Okay, so from there, we move into some of the end, which is our strength and power section. And I appreciate you guys for staying with me for this long. Hopefully there's some great drills that are in there that you worked out. But when we think about the strength and power section, we just want to look at keys to strength training. And then we'll kind of move into some of the stuff from our CPT and things like that and just some basic explanation. But what do we want to do? We want to be able to think about joint flexibility and mobility. We think about strength training, super important, something that we talk about a lot nowadays as fitness professionals. Develop tendon strength before muscle strength. And that sounds really cool and very technical, but what it means is that we don't want to preoccupy ourselves early in training by just trying to train arms and limbs and things like that. Because what happens is we want to be able to develop full body strength so that the tendons and ligaments, things like that, start to get strong so that they adjust to their bodies as they're starting to grow into them as we move through these first phases and we start to add strength training. So strength training is one of those things that parents always come up to the facility and say, hey, my kids are, this age, should they be strength training? The answer is most of the time, yes. It's always yes, because what's going to happen is they're going to become stronger, they're going to start to move better, their self-esteem is going to be better, and they're going to be more prepared for the challenges that we subject them to later on. And then we start to think core strength before we start to talk about arms and leg strength and things like that. So that's one of the things that we really preach as a cornerstone, having really good core stability and strength so that we can, as we start to progress them to do different things, they get stronger, but we're trying to actually progress them from a strength perspective and very minimal loads, but in a very relaxed atmosphere. So strength and power, we look at, this will give you an idea of those 3 different phases that we talked about. So we go initiation, athletic formation, and these will all be on one slide so you can take a look at them. And if we look at it in the initiation, we start thinking about simple exercises. You've heard a lot about games and free play throughout the day. And then circuit training. When we think about circuit training, and there it'll show you volume. Volume is something that we want to keep a good eye on, especially with our youngsters, because we don't want to overtrain them. And when we look at that, I love circuit training. Circuit training is here. Your regular circuit can consist of exercises, probably 6 to 9 exercises that basically would be tied to, the next slide will give us a good idea of, bending and lifting movements, single leg movements, planking, different things like that, pushing, pulling, different elements of foundational movements that we can use within those strength programs. So as they move into specialization, we start to see more of an emphasis on power training. You would still have the circuit training, but the specificity element would start to be there for thinking about sport-specific activity and things like that. So as we move in, so we look at, and then we're not going to demonstrate this because I think we're a little bit pressed for time and we want to make sure, but this is something that you guys can reference in your CPT and look at the different exercises that might fall into these different categories. But if you look at it, bend and lift movements, single leg movements, pushing, pulling, rotation movements, these are all elements that become vital for, sports and athletics. So if we look at our strength and resistance programs, what we want to do as we start to develop that whole athletic machine is move them towards these different things and to be able to fill those programs out and create strength and power programs based around these things so that everything we do from a strength perspective transfers to sport and to the activities of daily life. So with that, some of the resources that are used, obviously it's not stuff that these are things that we have acclimated from different resources. So these are some great resources that you can go to if you want to get more context. It's a very weighty topic that's tough to go over in just an hour, but we wanted to give you really the brushstrokes. So with that, you can take a look at the resources, but I'm going to bring back the always awesome, amazing Jackie Crock.
Hi.
How you doing, Jackie?
How you doing? That was awesome.
Okay.
A lot of energy.
Really?
And Addie's over there recovering very nicely. So
I am going to leave or stay.
you can stay right here.
Yes,
So
ma'am.
we have a couple questions.
Okay.
Thank you all for joining us. And if you would like to ask some questions to Mike before we close up here, feel free to type those questions into your YouTube viewer right now, and we'll just take a few minutes for questions. As you're typing those in, if you want to stay in touch with Michael Piercy, you can do so by using some of the information that's provided on your screen. There, his contact information is there. Also, we will be having a live Facebook chat on our ACE Fitness Facebook page later today, over the next couple days. If you are able to rewatch this and you have some questions that pop up, feel free to jump on our ACE Fitness Facebook page and you can continue the conversation with Mike there.
Thanks. I like it.
Also, if you enjoyed this information and you are working with youth athletes and want to make sure that you are elevating yourself as a professional, we do have other opportunities for you to gain some continuing education credits on this topic. So on your slide, we have a few other webinars related to youth programming and youth fitness, and then we also have our ACE Youth Fitness Specialist program as well. So make sure and check those out if this is something that you are interested in and wanting to delve more into with your career. And next, if you are interested in gaining those CECs, which are required for you to maintain your certification, make sure to check out our Continuing Education Club, our CEC Club, where you can get all the CECs that you need for one low price. And you can find out more information about that on our ACE Fitness webpage. So let's take a couple of those live questions that are coming in. So yeah, some great questions. Thank you all for typing those in. A little bit about groups.
Okay.
Right? So we were working with Addie one-on-one. She did amazing, right? So how do we transition some of the things, or maybe what are some of the things that we need to think about when transitioning some of these drills and skill development with a group of athletes that are maybe Addie's age?
No, that's a great question. One of the things that you saw in some of the slides was like relays and doing different games. So you can always create games that are based on relays or based on just, having a group of kids kind of tag. It's like a game that you could use in group. Doesn't have to be one-on-one. We use it in a one-on-one setting. But one of the things that we use that I kind of, acquired from a friend is called It Tag. And this is one of those things where everybody's it.
Okay.
Everybody's it. So we run all around the room. If we had 10, 12 of us, we run all around the room. And when you get tagged, you have to balance on one foot. Or if you get tagged, you have to balance on the other foot. Or you have to jump up and down, or you have to do different activities. So there's always a place that you can find different games. But the best thing to do is to try to take some of these games and be able to kind of assimilate them within groups. So if there's something, they can always reach off the and I think some of the things when you do the youth specialization program, some of those things will be in there. But if somebody wants to reach out for like specific games and stuff like that, they can. But there's a lot of different things like Fox and Squirrel and stuff like that that you could do that are really games that are structured around being in groups.
And could you, if you acted as a coach, right, and we had Addie as our athlete, could you make the other kids in the program be the coach too and kind of work together in that way? Is that an option? Okay.
For sure, because definitely one of the things that we talked about in our coaching philosophy, right, is we want to educate. We want to have two-way conversation. So we want people to we want the athletes to be acclimated to making adjustment, all right? So we could play games where they're the coach and they run the game, or we could even have them coach us,
Yeah.
you know.
Yeah,
so,
right.
And that's, you know, kind of one of the cool things about it is having not just, like I said, it's a difference between really free play, but for us in a focused gameplay, what we're focusing on would pretty much determine the game.
Great, perfect. So one other question that I saw come in here is around parents.
Uh-oh.
Right? So if we're
That's a
working
parent.
with youth athletes,
Uh-huh.
what are some things that we need to think about in discussing maybe what we're doing with the kids in the group, or you know, how we're training, if there are any kind of we don't really touch that subject, you know, sort of thing. What are some pointers that you could offer there in working with parents of your youth athletes?
I think we want to have, and it comes back to two-way conversation again, right? So we want to be very open with parents. I think it's very interesting. I think they're very interested in understanding. For us, we have to be very patient as well, because I think that they might see things in that first slide. The first thing it says, training, they're not little pros,
Yeah.
right? But as a parent that may work on Wall Street or something like that, you know, you may want to give your, you know, we have to understand that they want to give their child the best chance they can to be successful, right? So the best thing that we could do to also help that environment is to explain the different elements so they know. And then not only that, but it might lead to a long-term relationship, because now you see exactly what we're doing. And the most success with is having parents understand that I don't want little Timmy or Johnny to peak at 16,
Right.
you know,
Right.
when his goal is to go on to play Division I, you know, baseball. I want him to be his best when his best is needed,
Yep.
or not burn out before then, because I'm doing everyday hitting lessons and talk a lot. I'm
Yeah,
sorry.
no, that's good. All right, so if you do have other questions for Mike, you can jump on our Ace Fitness Facebook page and ask those questions, and we'll continue that conversation with you over the next couple days.
Yes.
Sounds
we'll
good.
be here forever doing those.
All right. So if you would like to receive continuing education credits for today's presentation, you can take a look at the little video on your slide, and you will be able to purchase a recorded version of today's presentation by going to the education link on the Ace Fitness page. Once you make that purchase, you will be awarded the CECs after passing the quiz. So that will go into your My Ace account, 0.1 CECs within your My Ace account. And make sure to join us next month for our next live webinar, where we will be having a discussion with Farrell Haruska, who is an expert in women's health around coaching women and through their different stages of life as well. So great opportunity if you work with women throughout different stages of their life. Make sure and join us for that. Also make sure and contact ACE through a variety of ways if you want to touch base with us on our social media, or if you have any questions or comments about today's live webinar. We look forward to seeing you on social media. Mike, thanks for joining us today.
Thank you so much for having me.
You're
Appreciate
welcome.
it. Thank
See you again
Yes,
soon.
I hope so.
All right. Thank you, and let's get people moving.